So what did you think of touring?
I loved it because it was about the fans.
Yeah.
Got to spend time with fans, and but you know, there's that aha moment, you know, where who am I really talking to? Am I talking to anyone? And what am I telling them? What am I displaying that this, because this is, you know, I said that in the interview, it doesn't say caution, this is a lie. There's nothing about how I look, how we're presenting ourselves that says this is a lie, but it's a complete lie. Nothing about it is genuine, and you're not even allowed to really genuinely say how you feel. So a lot of what Britney Spears has been talking about for so long, I feel, well, finally someone on a very big platform is actually expressing the mechanicals of how controlled you are. You were controlled.
Yeah, there have been over the years artists to say that,
Yeah.
and they're almost always called mentally ill and
Yeah.
shuffled off into some treatment facility where their brains are destroyed by drugs.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you to see it?
No.
Yeah.
No. I have many friends in the industry, some of which are alive, some of which are not anymore. And they all have talked about the same controlling mechanism. I just know what saved my life, and I know, you know, that for me is the number one thing is God. You know, God pulled me out of that, and had it not been for the Lord, I wouldn't be here.
How long were you in the group?
I was in the group from 2002 was the audition phase, and then I left at the end of 2005. So,
wow.
Like 3 years.
And were you on the road for most of that?
No, not all the time. I mean, but when we had shows, we would do sometimes 2 shows a day. Viper Room was 2 shows a day, 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. You know, you're a hired cast member. You're paid a weekly stipend, and people didn't even believe what we were paid. And I mean, I still have my paycheck stubs because I thought, you know, they just didn't believe us. They didn't believe that we were mistreated. It wasn't what people think it was. You know.
How could you be that famous and that badly paid?
Right. Because you're owned by an institution. You're not your own. So it's different than when you hear like a band get together and they became a band and then they write songs.
Right, totally.
Totally different. We were put together, and it was cast like a show, and it was mechanical chairs. If you ever decided to leave, if you got hurt, you were replaced. I mean, even one of the girls who kind of resembled me, they bleached her hair as soon as I left to replace me so that fans would know. And fans are so on point. They'd be like, why have you made Kimberly into Kaya? Like they would actually say stuff. It's interesting.
What were the other girls like?
Wonderful, talented. You know, I pray for them every day, yeah.
Did you think that they were having trouble adjusting to this? Got to be one of the weirdest lives you could possibly live, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We all have gone through our own, and I can't talk about their abuse. I don't think it's fair to them.
Right.
I can only speak about my own. But I know that when everything comes out, the world will be on their side for sure.
Abuse, what does that mean?
Because so many fans loved what we were. You know, we were the #1 girl group at that time. Other than Destiny's Child, there was really, I mean, then Danity Kane came after us. There were a lot of groups that came after us, but at the time we were a very influential girl group. So I think a lot of fans fell in love with the music, with the women, wanting to buy into the hype of what we were. But I think a lot of people would be surprised of what we went through.
Tell us.
Abuse, mistreatment, constantly discouraged. You're not enough. You're never enough. You're not good enough on any accord. You're just there to do what they want you to do. There's nothing really more than that, you know.
How can you form meaningful personal relationships?
You can't.
You can't.
No. You can't. It's no coincidence that very few of the women have children.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, I mean, Google this stuff. If anyone, take a look at, you know, the women, and now Carmeet, you know, she's had a daughter. Jessica's had a child, and I believe Kimberly's now a mom. But majority of the women do not have children. I mean, that's the pressures, and you know, the forcing abortions, and you know, you need, you know, when you're fired if you're pregnant, you're fired.
Can they do that?
They can do that.
So you felt pressure to get an abortion?
I was told to get rid of it.
No way.
Way. I was told to get rid of it. Yeah.
Of the child?
Yes.
By whom?
The powers that be.
Just flat out said that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How old were you?
19. 19.
Well, that seems like slavery.
Well, that's why I've used words like trafficked or prostitution ring, not because we were actually one, but because it felt like that. It felt like we were slaves to, I believe it's to the evil that runs this planet. I don't think it's a group of people per se. I think evil runs rampant when we don't do anything about it. And as Christians, we need to do something about it.
So it's just interesting to hear you say that you were effectively forced to have an abortion, mm-hmm. since the discussion of abortion is couched in terms of choice as a liberation movement. This is a decision you make to liberate yourself. You make it freely. Mm-hmm. It's your body, your choice. But it doesn't sound like you felt like it was your body, your choice.
No. And, I had an abortion at 16, being a young girl in the music industry. I was signed to Capitol before the Pussycat Dolls. But that was my choice. I really didn't know any better. And no one was really there I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone. I just made a choice that was a poor choice. Then now being in the height of this position in my job and really not wanting to lose my job, I was told, oh, yeah, you get rid of it. And so I went and got rid of it in between rehearsal. And I actually was hemorrhaging and very ill at the time that I was still performing. And so that's when, that moment of these two young girls in the front row of our show. We're performing at Divas Live. It's at MGM Grand in Las Vegas. 23 million people are watching on VH1. It's like, it's your dream. Here it is. And I'm in real time still losing my child and being told how fat I am. And like, these are things you're told because you're not good enough. Again, it's to control you. So you're told like, why does your butt look, it has like pizza sewn on it? You're so fat. You're told these things. So
you said that out loud? Or
oh yeah, no. Yeah, this stuff is said. I know it's hard to believe because people are like, that's horrible. It's like, it was horrible. It was horrible. I get midnight phone calls about what I ate. You're not allowed to eat cheese. You're not allowed to eat certain things. I kept a journal about it because
let me just correct you and say that cheese is life-affirming. I think.
I love
science,
cheese.
Amen. Just had some for lunch.
I love cheese, but yeah, it was difficult. It was controlled, and that's the only way I can explain it. It's not something I ever encountered again. I encountered it then. I think a lot had to do with the powers that was running that group. I don't think it has to do with everyone indefinite in the industry, but there is a thread in the industry that certain artists go through this, unfortunately.
So you're standing on stage, you're still hemorrhaging from your abortion.
Yes.
How did you feel about that abortion at the time?
Horrible.
Oh, you did? Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, no, horrible. Because a murder is taking place in your body. The body's your temple.
And you could feel that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any woman that's like screaming their abortion and making it seem like it's such a heroic thing, something else is going on, because that's not how you feel. You feel like something has been taken from you, like a kidney, like something that has always been inside of you has been taken. Like that's how it feels. It feels horrible. It's a horrible experience, and it's a traumatic experience. And there are like these two little girls in the front row, and they're going, oh, Mommy, she's a pussycat doll. And I was coming through the audience. So I'm like staged, Patti LaBelle singing. I'm about to go on stage with all of my, band members. And these little girls just kind of gave me a shock to my core, out of the mouth of babes, literally.
Yes. This is like a hallucinogenic scene you're describing.
Oh my gosh, it was.
You're still hemorrhaging from your abortion.
Yes.
Patti LaBelle is singing.
Yes.
It's tens of millions of people are watching.
Yes.
And two little girls say
and
this.
And two little girls say this.
Inside you. And
literally, it was like, I can't do this. Like, they think that this is beautiful. Like, they want to be me the way I wanted to be a Spice Girl. Absolutely not. I cannot do this. Like, I have to figure a way out. That was the beginning of, I got to figure a way out.
That's wild that they came to you on stage while performing.
Mm-hmm. I was at the side of the stage because I was about to go up. Yeah. I wonder where those two little girls are now. Truly, because they saved my life. Truly. Yeah.
Was that really the first time that you'd had some connection to these transcendent forces, or something's acting on you clearly?
Like,
were you a believer in anything before then?
Yeah, absolutely. I always listened to the Lord is who told me I needed to leave the Pussycat Dolls. I mean, Scarlett Johansson was a good nudge. She came and did a guest appearance with the Pussycat Dolls, and she was getting her hair and makeup done with me. And she said, I would never let them talk to me the way they talk to you. Like, in the film industry, we don't tolerate that. So she caught it right away, the abuse. And I remember thinking, And then those two girls saying what they said, and I'm in the process of losing my child. That was the aha moment for sure. But the Holy Spirit in prayer, I remember being in my home, and he said, you're going to end up not alive if you stay here, because of just who he made me to be. I'm just not built for, I think you have to really have something, a chink in your armor in the sinister realm to tolerate what you go through in certain sectors of the music industry, for sure. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So you got the message you have to leave this job, which, and getting that job, of course, was your goal, right? Out of thousands.
That was my dream, yeah.
Of course, but you have to leave it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to leave it?
I'm going to say almost a year. I mean, from that moment the clock began. I knew I needed out. I didn't know how that was going to work. I wanted to be respectful because the people that owned us were Universal. I mean, you're not going to go up against Universal Music Group and win. So, you have to find the wherewithal to be very strategically wise. Yes. Prophetic instruction, and be smart about it.
So you were under contract to them?
Yes, I was under contract.
And you cannot fool with contracts in the entertainment business?
No. Yeah, it's under the universe, literally. And so I was adamant about being wise to completing my contract, doing the best that I could, and completing the album, which I did complete, finished, signed off all rights on it, and that was it.
What was that like, that year?
Hard and sad. Didn't get to say goodbye to my bandmates. Said goodbye to the executives. They knew the decision. They asked me if I wanted to be a solo artist, still under the institution, but I knew that could have been the worst thing for me because I still was really not sure who I was as an artist at that point. I was so broken, and I was scared that it could lead to me just being shelved. So the wisest thing was to step away, not go into another contract with anyone, and take a beat. Yeah.
Well, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because you're on a trajectory shaped like that.
Yes.
And then you voluntarily just step off.
Oh yeah, a $13 million record deal. You're walking away from, you're not, you are ascending. And your ascension is with the best writers, the best producers. There is no, there's no plan B or C. You're going into A, you're a top mainline production. The main people in the music industry are sitting with you for breakfast. So you're aware of just how important you are. You're having breakfast with some insanely powerful people who are talking about writing hits for you. And you're going into the studio with the best people possible. You're just, wow, this is so cool. Is it though? Is it? And for what price? What price are you paying for this?
It's just a very heavy decision. And we should just say for viewers who don't follow this, so the music business in the United States is the global music business.
Yes.
It's that's for the whole world.
Yes, that's right.
There's no kind of competing center of world music.
No. And part of the contract was I was, as long as my voice was being heard, I was not going to be able to be heard because I had an immediate offer from Capitol Records. And at that point, I remember Julian Raymond and Andy Slater, still friends of mine. They've known me since I was a 16-year-old girl when I was signed to them under a development deal. And I remember Andy and Julian calling me and saying, you're going to hear it from us. We can't sign you. And I literally was just like, am I blacklisted? That's immediately what I thought. And they said, no, you're not blacklisted, but you're going to have to wait. And it sucks, Kaya. You're just going to have to wait until they do a second album, but pray that they do a second album. So I had to wait. And that was 3 years of waiting.
What did you do?
I sang background vocals for Mick Jagger.
What was that like?
Awesome. I sang background vocals for Mick Jagger with Catherine, Katy Perry. who was signed to Sony at the time. You know, she wasn't Katy Perry yet. She hadn't kissed a
went
girl
by-
or any of that.
She
Nothing.
went by Catherine.
She went by Catherine. She was a Christian artist. You know, her parents know the Lord. She knows the Lord. Yeah.
What was Mick Jagger like?
Very talented. Very talented. Very controlling. Very talented. Very aware of his instrument and top tier of the industry. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, he's Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very impressive. Definitely. So that for me was between that and then I got a modeling deal. I was lucky enough that I got a modeling deal and I went to New York and I modeled for a little bit, but I was like, this isn't for me. This is boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I just love writing music and singing. That's my passion. That's my love.
So what was happening inside you during those 3 years?
Oh gosh, tremendous sadness, depression for sure. Yeah. Because I wasn't getting to create. And I remember when I was then allowed to create again, because it was like a moment again that happened. Oh yeah. And it was like, oh yes, a moment like, okay, now it's time. And it was like 1 a.m. in the morning and I get a phone call from a very big executive who was at a Christmas party. And basically the powers that be said, we're going to turn this solo record into a second album. So they were pushing for someone's solo record. And at that point they were like, no, we're just going to turn it into the second Pussycat Doll album. And I knew it. And literally the call comes in, it's like 1:05 in the morning. And I'm like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, it's time to record. It's time to record. You're going to be free. You start now. Like, and I mean, it's like that. It literally is like that. It is a tiny group of people that control the music world. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so when they say to do something, you do it.
Well, I knew at that point, like they had internal information that I was then, you know, free. I could now start recording and my voice wasn't on it. I wasn't a part of any of the, you know, the copyright or anything like that. My voice wasn't a signature on it. So that gave me freedom to start recording and creating who I was. So I started immediately doing that in hopes that, you know, I was going to make some headway. But yeah, it's very strategic. I'll tell you how strategic it is. When I said that I pray to Jesus on camera, I was called that day by people in the music industry and said, I hope you know you can't walk that back.
Can't walk that back? What do you mean?
What I said about Jesus.
Why would you walk it back?
Correct. Well, if you're a Satanist, you would walk it back.
So that it was that offensive?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. Absolutely.
And so if you're a Satanist, do you think that some of the people involved were Satanists?
Oh, wholeheartedly, yes. Yes.
That's a little surprise. I mean, for those of us who haven't been in the music business,
I don't think it's that surprising.
It's not surprising at all. Let me apologize for my falseness.
I don't think it's that surprising.
I'm so shocked to hear that, guy. Really, they're Satanists?
I'm so sorry. It's really not that shocking.
Said that. I pride myself on my
like, let's just
honesty.
be honest. I think, you know, let's just call a spade a spade. I think.
Amen, baby. I'm with you 100%.
I feel like we're like, especially as believers, we're like, okay, we cannot be agents for Satan. We can't speak about things, but we're supposed to, because the thing is that they've already picked a side. And they're very bold about their side.